I'd like to welcome one and all to the Cognisys Vulnerability Management Predictions webinar for 2024. We're absolutely delighted to have each and every one of you with us in the session today, and what a session we've got in store for you. So as part of the wider threat landscape prediction sessions that Cognisys provide, this time we are laser focused on vulnerability management, and we're going to be highlighting some of the key trends and changes that we've seen in this space over recent months and years. Also, most importantly, we're going to be looking forward and highlighting some of the areas that we expect to change and develop in the future based on the trends that we've seen so far. If anyone attending the session has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A chat box, as we have a slide at the end for questions. As an offensive security and compliance specialist, Cognisys is pretty well placed to provide insight into the landscape of vulnerability management. I'm super pleased to be joined by two leading members of the Cognisys technical team during today's session. So your speakers today, Arjun Pednekar, affectionately known to us as AJ, is our Technical Director and Fellow of the CREST organisation. So with over 25 years worth of offensive security expertise under his belt, I'm making him blush now, and has worked with projects for some of the world's largest and most paranoid enterprises, AJ has an enviable level of experience and expertise in the field of cybersecurity. Sorry for showing your age there, AJ. Zak Clifford is one of our senior penetration testers, an all-round cyber guru and great guy. He also joins us on the call. So Zak is an IT professional with a super strong focus on network security, with nearly a decade of experience in the cybersecurity industry, and has a super keen interest on AI as well. So thank you, AJ and Zak, for speaking on today's session. And my name's Chris. I'm the sales manager here at Cognisys. For those that don't know, very quickly, Cognisys, quite simply, we're an offensive security and compliance organisation, and we help our clients identify gaps in their defences before the bad guys do. So let's get into the predictions. The first prediction today is all around patch timing and vulnerability exploitation. Now, everyone on this call, I'm sure, understands the importance of identifying vulnerabilities in a swift and timely manner, but just pulling the scanning information and working through the patching process in descending order from critical to high and down through the other tiers isn't the most effective way of managing the vulnerability remediation process. So knowing what and what not to patch and in what priority, and then validating that remediation efforts have been effective, should all form part of a wider vulnerability management strategy. Also, having some additional intelligence around the vulnerabilities within the environment that are exploitable when prioritising the remediation efforts should also be considered before action is taken. AJ, tell us a little bit more about this area.
Absolutely. Thanks for that kind introduction, Chris, and good afternoon, everyone. We all know what vulnerability is. We know how difficult keeping up to date with patching is in a large organization, in a business which involves with vulnerabilities on day-to-day basis. How do we prioritize patching? Because these days, as soon as a vulnerability is announced, there are exploits that go out on GitHub. Malicious threat actors are using these publicly available exploits to use as part of their social engineering campaign, gain unauthorized access to your systems. But the problem is businesses are struggling. Businesses are struggling to keep up with the patching. Do you use maybe like a risk to the organization for a particular vulnerability? Is it based on a CVS score of a vulnerability that you prioritize your patching, or is it based on asset weightage? So these are the questions we are going to address in this talk. Zak, my colleague, he's passionate about artificial intelligence, and he keeps an eye on how AI can help an organization to prioritize and ensure that the patching is applied in a rightful way. What do you think, Zak?
Yeah, thanks, AJ. And good, everyone. I personally think that AI is going to enable deep scanning of the internet and referencing different threat databases for more prioritization of vulnerabilities. And then AI could also be used to automate the roadmap for patching. And so using AI automation, it could be possible to better prioritize the patching based on what's actively exploited. So maybe using the CISA-KEV database that can do that. And also it might help with the ease of patching of the asset as well.
Awesome. Fantastic, Zak. Thank you very much. We talked before the session about SLAs and actually setting some SLAs for the patching remediation process. Do tell us a little bit about this as well.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So we'll now run through a client example in our Smart Scan portal. There are other vulnerability management platforms available as well. So, for example, this is a fictitious client, and they're using SLAs within their vulnerability portal, and that's to see how they align with the NCSC guidance and Cyber Essentials. So using SLAs is a good way to keep on top of vulnerabilities to ensure that you're patching within that specific window. So referring to the NCSC guidance, they recommend applying all released updates for critical and high-risk vulnerabilities within 14 days. However, the Cyber Essentials, they chose a 30-day buffer as a consistent time frame for applying patches, regardless of their severity.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Zak. Okay, we're going to move into another crucial topic that is super important to security leaders, and that's the human element in ransomware and phishing attacks specifically. Now, we all love the technical controls and security countermeasures that can be bought and implemented and all of the fancy bells and whistles that come along with those sorts of technologies. But something that's perhaps not as exciting, but is equally important to creating to cybersecurity leaders is creating a cybersecurity culture within an organization. So every single person within an organization has the potential to be a cyber defender, supporting the cause to help themselves and their colleagues stay safe. But all of this can only be done, of course, if security leaders like yourselves on the call provide adequate security awareness training. AJ, what are your views on this space?
I mean, you said it right, Chris. Human element plays an important role in data breaches, as you can see from data breach investigation report here. 74% of breaches involve human element, which could be, let's be honest, due to genuine human errors. No one expects them to get phished. Could be due to abuse of excessive privileges. When staff is assigned privileges within an organization, they could be excessive than what is required for their day-to-day operations. Or it could be part of a targeted social engineering campaign. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, human element since the pandemic has played a prominent role, and in phishing attacks, most companies are targeted because of, let's say, poor work ethic, which could include things like poor security protocols, weak passwords, lack of cybersecurity awareness training to employees. Everyone is busy, and take time out to train employees against these phishing campaigns is becoming challenging. A single mistake, that's what ransomware gang and malicious threat actors are thriving on. A single mistake by an employee, such as let's say clicking on a malicious link, or it could be a wishing call that a staff member receives. It could swiftly lead to compromise of integrity of an organization's security posture. We do a lot of red team, machine breach, and phishing kind of exercise, and I'm pretty sure Zak has some interesting stories and experience to share.
Yeah, thank you, AJ. So I'd just like to highlight the MGM Grand Casino incident from last year. That's where a threat actor impersonated an employee by using details used from LinkedIn to be able to dupe the MGM Casino's IT help desk into resetting the password and MFA tokens for that user. This consequently led to a system breach, which then resulted in ransomware and had a lot of downtime for the casino. So this underscores the need for training against phishing specifically, which is frequently neglected. And an IBM report from 2022 shows that phishing attacks involving phone calls are 3 times more likely to succeed. So that's something just to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Zak, and thank you very much, AJ. Awesome. Okay, so AI and machine learning in cybersecurity. Now, whenever I read about AI in cybersecurity or AI more generally, it's usually through quite a negative lens, right? And maybe that's for good reason, time will tell, but we must recognize that AI and machine learning is helping organizations improve their threat detection, their response, their mitigation efforts. It is being used for good. Zak, I know this is a super interesting area for yourself, and you've got some pretty interesting opinions and predictions in this space. Please tell us all about your views on the changes to this space in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So this is a quote from me, and as AJ previously alluded to with Elmer AI, I do believe that using AI will exponentially help the cybersecurity industry monitor threat activities and also better inform us and all defenders on how better to prioritize vulnerabilities. Next slide, please.
I mean, Zach said it right. There are, and also you, Chris, there are pros and cons to every technology. The pros would be like AI-powered solutions will provide advanced capabilities to categorize vulnerabilities. We discussed about Velma, for a vulnerability management platform like SmartScan. It will allow us to prioritize vulnerabilities based on what it has seen on threat-intel feeds and how it is being exploited in real time. The shift is happening because cyber threats are becoming more complex, and businesses need to be efficient and proactive in defending themselves. We have seen how ChatGPT has taken over in the last couple of months, to make people more productive. These AI algorithms, analyze a lot of data, especially in terms when we speak about AI software like Velma, which is working in the back end. It analyzes threat intelligence feeds, it analyzes real-world exploit data, and it will help you detect and fix vulnerabilities in real time. But then again, let's not forget the cons that you just mentioned. Cyber criminals are going to use AI technology for their benefit as well, to create, let's say, more sophisticated and convincing phishing attacks. I mean, gone are the days when we used to receive incorrect grammar-based phishing emails. These attacks can be generated by AI, and it's going to get more challenging for traditional email security solutions to detect and block them. So what I believe is organizations will need to adapt and enhance their security measures to keep up with this rapid evolving threat landscape.
Absolutely, absolutely. The arms race, the cat and mouse game continues forevermore. Absolutely. All right, great stuff. Thank you, guys. So the next prediction area is all around neglected assets, rogue devices, and the risks that they pose to any organisation. It's hard enough keeping systems that we know about up to date and patched and secure. So how are we going to shine a light on these blind spots, AJ? What are the potential threats as well relating to neglected assets within an environment?
I mean, neglected assets, when we go on site to do internal assessment, and as soon as we start doing asset discovery, which is the first phase, we come across assets that are important for business use, but they are sitting in some corner in an office. They are not part of the patching cycle. Most probably they are on an unsupported operating system with software that is not even supported by the vendor, that is required for the business operation. And these are the assets that give us a quick foothold within the organization when we are doing our internal pen test. And I know once we point out, there are many times when clients, even they are not aware that there is an asset like this which is doing the job but is being neglected. Zach, he does a lot of internal assessment, and I know he has some interesting stories on how he uses low-hanging fruits like this to get a foothold quickly.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. So typically when I kick off a pen test, especially within an internal network, my first move is to uncover active hosts and scan for open ports. Like I just said, that's the first phase. From there, I'll sift through the data, identifying key targets like domain controllers, printers, and network devices like switches and routers. So while domain controllers are high-value targets, I often begin with the low-hanging fruit, which I'm going to call printers. So these devices are frequently overlooked and may still have default credentials, which can provide a treasure trove of information. For example, when I get access to a printer, I'm looking straight for the address book to see if I can create a user list that I can use for password spraying at a later date. And then I'm also examining the configuration for features like scan to email, scan to share, and scan, and checking for LDAP setups that require user authentication. So I find it's like a super methodical approach to finding vulnerabilities that could allow for deeper network access from there.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Excellent. AJ, can you talk us through the slide in front of us, please?
Absolutely. So this is from our vulnerability management platform that we call internally as SmartScan. And what it does is it keeps, like we discussed, it keeps track of real world exploits. It keeps track of what's going on a particular vulnerability. And For example, if it was Log4j, it started as a medium or low to medium risk vulnerability, and gradually, when the exploit was available, it was classed as CVSS 10.0. And this is where Velma kicks in at the back end, and it will flag it on the dashboard as soon as an exploit is being used heavily by threat actors in the wild. So platform like this is superficial. It's really, really important for organizations, large organizations who want to keep up to date with patching and vulnerability cycle.
Excellent. Thank you very much, AJ. Okay, so just to delve now into the realm of cybersecurity insurance and the seemingly ever-changing minimum standards that organisations must meet in order to qualify for coverage, the hoops that we must jump through. Zak, please do tell us your opinions about this space.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So as highlighted in the displayed quote, we've seen a significant 55% rise in organizations achieving Cyber Essentials Plus certification. And this trend likely stems from external pressures such as insurance companies' requirements or even compliance mandates. And interestingly, attackers are now strategically targeting firms with cyber insurance, anticipating an easier payout compared to companies without that coverage. Next slide, please.
I mean, I look at Cyber Essentials, being an ISME assessor myself, I look at Cyber Essentials as MOT, like we do for our cars each year. They both are conducted to ensure safety, security, and compliance of an asset, maybe of an internal network or of a network which does these operations. Just as MOT assesses vehicles, for safety and environmental standards before they hit the road, Cyber Essentials establishes baseline security measures as defined by NCSE. I mean, both processes aim to prevent potential risk by identifying vulnerabilities and ensuring adherence to minimum requirements. You need to demonstrate to your clients, to your customers, that you are proactively looking into a security of the organizations and the data that is being held by the business. Ongoing maintenance is crucial, as you're aware, for both vehicles and IT systems to remain resilient against evolving threats, emphasizing the need for continuous attention to safety and security measures. I know we discussed cyber security awareness training in the past, and we do a lot of phishing and follow-up on training as well. Zak, what do you think? How do you think training plays an important role as part of Cyber Essentials?
Yeah, thanks, AJ. So yeah, security awareness training often takes a back seat, but it really shouldn't. So educating staff about the latest threats, like smishing and vishing, as mentioned in the MGM Grand attack, is more than just a tick box exercise, but it's a critical investment in a good defense in depth approach. So companies should prioritize practical, effective training and make security savvy a part of the company's culture, I think.
Absolutely.
Brilliant, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, so zero-day exploits. They forever posed a risk to cyber defenders, and we're pleased to announce that one of our ethical hackers, Rajveer Parmar, was independently recognised for a zero-day that he discovered earlier this year. So there's a big shout out to Raj in our offensive security team. But Zak, what are your thoughts on the space around zero-day exploits?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So this slide shows the Mandiant's deep dive into 246 vulnerabilities revealed in 2021 and 2022 shows a striking trend. So 153 vulnerabilities were 0 days, which were exploited before patches can be released. And then that's overshadowed by the 93 end days, of which were exploited after a patch was available. So 0 days are constantly outpacing end days. And alarmingly, some 0 days remain targets even after fixes are rolled out. So vigilant patching is definitely crucial, but it's not the end of the story. Next slide.
Absolutely. I mean, well done, Raj, in our team. Zero-day exploit is a serious cyber attack that targets vulnerability, which even the developers and vendors of the application are not even aware, and it gets released before they have the time scale to patch it. The increasing number of skilled attackers and easily access of hacking tools heightens this danger. I mean, nowadays everyone is aware that ChatGPT has taken over. You feed a code, and ChatGPT will highlight where exactly the vulnerability lies. So detecting and fixing unknown vulnerabilities is challenging as it is, putting unnecessary pressure or required pressure on organizations to fortify their defenses and response strategies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thank you, AJ. Thank you, Zak. Just finally, want to take a look at IoT device management and the security implications therein. With more and more connected devices, of course, IoT ecosystems are becoming increasingly complex. So how can security leaders adapt strategies to effectively protect these assets? AJ.
I mean, the businesses are already struggling as it is, and imagine IoT devices connecting to a network, increasing their attack surface vector. Now, IoT is rapidly expanding, encompassing encompassing the various connected devices from, let's say, smart thermostats, industrial sensors. It could be your fridge, it could be your microwave. So cybersecurity for IoT is crucial due to the increasing frequency of cyber threats. Ranging from, let's say, an insecure firmware. The firmware has been outdated and the devices are already connected to the internet. It could be unprotected communication channels, or it could be default passwords on the IoT devices. Businesses need a multifaceted approach, I believe, including proactive inventory management, regular audits of these IoT devices, and security solutions which are tailored to handle the devices that are connected to a network and then to the internet. Investment in, let's say, IoT-specific security solutions and protocols is quite necessary now, maybe including secure boot mechanisms and encrypted communication channels. So Zak has an exciting story which he has shared with the team, and I would like him to speak about it in this.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. So I remember reading a report by security researchers a few years ago, and there was a notable incident involving a Chromecast device. So this is where a threat actor could use a deauthentication attack. So basically knocking the device off its currently connected Wi-Fi network. And when that happens, the Chromecast goes into a setup mode, allowing anybody to connect. So once connected, a threat actor could issue commands, so playing different voice clips, audio clips, and that can be played on, usually connected to TVs or speakers. So if there's any devices listening, so like Alexa or Google, you can control smart devices by saying, Alexa, activate certain appliance or adjust the thermostat or something along those lines. So while these might be benign and trivial, the real concern arises when integrations that control more critical functions, such as a smart lock, so unlocking the front door, opening the garage door, and even someone in a Tesla. So with many manufacturers embracing Alexa integration, the potential for abuse is significant unless proper security measures are in place.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much, Zak. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, AJ, as well. So that concludes our final prediction of the webinar. All right, brilliant. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Zak. If you're not doing already, guys and girls that have attended, please do feel free to follow us on LinkedIn to see more posts and information relating to the subjects of offensive security and compliance. Of course, take a look at cognisys.co.uk and have a look at our service catalogue, which includes a ton of information about offensive security and compliance related services that could bolster your business's defences. And until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, keep an eye on our socials for details of the next educational webinar, and we thank you for attending the session. All the best, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.